Hello, today we're going to explain in chapter 30 from the logistics book that is the cost and performance monitoring. Why it is important to monitor all this kind of stuff? Because it is important to establish an effective system for cost and performance monitoring and control. There is a need to identify some overall guidelines or aims that the system is designed to fulfill. This is including the planning and control cycle part that takes four stages. With the first one that is where are we now? The second one that identifies the objectives of the logistics or distribution process. The third one that is the development of appropriate strategic and operational plans to achieve these objectives. And four, the monitoring and control procedures to measure the effectiveness of the logistics operation compared to the plan. Monitoring or processes will be helpful to adjust these little parts of the supply chain or the product's production to earn more money, have a better customer satisfaction, and also reduce the time in every process. So there are different approaches in this part of the cost and performance monitoring. It is important to adopt a more formal approach. Although this should not necessitate a complicated format, there are several systematic approaches, as we're going to see right now. And the first one, there is the balanced scorecard, that in fact is a translation or translates the strategic mission of a business operation into tangible objectives and measures. The SCOR model, that is supply chain operations references, that has four levels. The competitive advantage, it measures that. The strategy, implementation and process definition, the detailed process elements, and the implementation. It is a process-oriented approach that has in its parts the benchmark, the refination and improvement in key operational processes, and with the objective to identify and introduce key measures that monitor set cost and performance targets. It has metrics as assets, cost data, flexibility, inventory orders, productivity, and time. The integrated supply chain approach recognizes that a total systems approach can be adopted for the whole business or supply chain, and that any performance metrics should be developed on this basis. And finally, the operational approach that determines the scope of logistic activities, identifies the organization and departmental objectives, determine operating principles and methods, set productivity and performance goals, measure and monitor performance, and take corrective actions if it's necessary. So, why it's important to measure that kind of thing? What can we measure against of it to have a better background of what we're going to investigate or measure in the processes? Well, first of all, with the historical data that give us a background of everything, the budget of our cost of the product production, the performance that we're going to have in order to acquire a better efficiency, then generate the standards that will be in the process supply chain and also in the product line, the external standards and benchmarking that are like the norms that we have to produce our products, and in fact is that a logistics operational planning and control system is. So here we have a good example of what a logistics operation plan is. So first of all, when the standard is set, then measuring the costs and other data recorded and apportioned to cost centers, the summarize of the actual costs, the performance and actual cost compared to budget costs, the deviations identified, and also the actions that taken if were necessary to have a better efficiency in the logistics process. So thank you very much for your attention, and this is everything.